Welcome to the Teapot Reads. My name's Sam. I'm the Teapot. This is what I'm currently reading, and I'm so happy to be here with you right now. Hello, and welcome back. If this is your first time here, welcome to my channel for the first time, I guess. So when I sat down and was like, I think a cool video to film would be every series that I'm in the middle of. I actually did not expect there to be so many series I'm in the middle of. I think it was like 27 or something when I counted, and talking in depth about every single one of those series would go on forever. I'm not interested in that. I don't think you're interested in that, so I'm only going to talk in depth about a couple of the series, or I'll only have a few things to say about a lot of them. And we're going to kind of be running through some of them very quickly, but I think that's better than waxing on about why I haven't finished one series or the other, because a lot of the reasons are going to get repetitive as well. For this video, I am not going to be talking about any series that are ongoing, that I'm caught up to the point of publication. So there are several series that I've been following for a very long time, and I am caught up to publication releases. I just obviously aren't caught up past that because they're not out. An example would be the Shadowhunters books, completely caught up. Another example would be Sarah J. Maas's books, completely caught up on all those series that are ongoing. So not really important to talk about those. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a lot of series that you're in the middle of. I think it's nice to know that you have a series that you're enjoying and that you can return to. There are a lot like that I am putting off on purpose because I'm saving the next book for when I need that book. And I think that's great to have that waiting for me. It's very much like a rainy day book kind of situation. That being said, there are a couple series on here that I forgot I was reading, or it's been so long since I read the previous book that I forgot details about it. And we'll have to go back and reread those. I will talk about those because, you know, that's, I think, a little shameful. But I also don't have the best memory for books. Like, I don't have a really good memory in general. My short-term memory is really good. But long-term, I have a lot of problem recalling things. Not just books, but like life as well. So, you know, it's partly a me problem, partly an I waited too long to complete this series problem. First off, we have Ship of Magic. This is the first in the Live Ship Trader series by Robin Hobb. I have actually read this series, or I'm sorry, I have actually read this book in this series, but I've never read books 2 or 3. I plan on picking up books 2 and 3 and rereading this actually very soon. I'm doing a Realm of the Elderlings reading journey this year. And it'll probably go in through next year. I have already reread and finished rereading the Farseer Trilogy, so Live Ship is next. And I will probably be reading this either in February or March, and I cannot wait to dive back into these. I'm a little ashamed of these next two. Yep, I am a little ashamed. Vicious and the Darker Shade of Magic. I have read both of these books, but I have not read anything in either of these series past these books. I've actually read A Darker Shade of Magic 3 or 4 times. I love this book. I only read Vicious once, but it was fantastic. I think it's better than this one. Never continued. I really want to. Partly, these are victims of the I'm saving them for rainy day, but they're also partly like, people are always talking about them online, so I feel as if I've read them, even though I haven't. Like those kinds of vibes. This book, this series, is my villain origin story, and that's the Bridgerton books. I've read the first 5. They're very bad. They're awful. I hate them. There has been a video I have been working on for a long time with these books. If I don't get to that video this year, I'm getting rid of them. But, oh, they're so bad. They're really problematic. I've ranted about these quite a bit. That video, it's actually 2 videos. One's a vlog, one's an in-depth review of the series. When those videos come out, you're just going to hear more rants. I'm so optimistic in the vlog, though. I should get on that. I really want to. It's just so hard. Then we have the Winter Night Trilogy. That's what it's called. So I read Baron Nightingale early. I actually read an arc of it this was way back when I was book blogging. I read an arc of it from NetGalley and I wasn't super impressed, but then the publisher reached out to me and sent me an arc of book 2, and I loved book 2. It was fantastic. So, of course, I never read book 3. I just never got to it. This series is really well loved by people online, and I actually do have the Fairy Loot editions of them because I was like, I love those editions. But I do really want to reread Baron the Nightingale and then read The Girl in the Tower. That's book 2. Partly because I enjoyed book 2 so much. Like, that was a book that came out of nowhere for me, especially because I didn't love book 1, but they were willing. The publisher sent me the finished copy of this as well. But because they sent it, I was like, you know what? Yes, I will read it. I'll give it a try. And it just made me fall in love with a very specific type of romance in fantasy books. And I don't know how to describe it except that it's like sort of aloof. Naomi Novik does it really well. Who else does it really well? S.J. Jones, I think, does it really well. But the dynamic just between the characters, just like, it changed me. I loved it. It was so very good. But I hated this one, and I'm hoping that my love for book 2 will, when I eventually reread this, kindle some love for this one, because maybe it is really good and I just didn't get it. I also have this thing that I wasn't aware of it back then. I'm much more aware of it now. But arcs for me, there is some like switch in my head where I'm like, it's an arc. It's not a finished copy. It's not as good as this finished edition. Like, especially bound arcs. They're not that different from finished copies, but like this switch in my brain is like, no, it's not as good because it's not officially done. But hopefully reading a finished edition will kind of untrigger that, and also just my love for book 2 and knowing where it's going might help a lot. That wouldn't be the first time that's happened. That's happened with other series in the past where I like loved a later book and had to go back and reread book 1 and be like, yes, actually that was really good. This was a recent book. This is The Midnight Lie. I don't know what this duology is called. I have no idea. But book 2, which I'm also totally blanking on the title of. I have book 2. These are the Lumicrate editions. And they do match covers, thank God. This cover is so much nicer than what they did with the US covers. They redid it. It's ugly. This evokes the story, I think, quite a bit more than the new US cover. But I loved this. It was a nice surprise, very refreshing read. And I'm really excited for book 2. But even though I did read this somewhat recently, I read it almost as soon as I got it, which would have been February of 2020, I believe. I just kept putting off book 2. Also, book 2, the release date was much later than I had thought it would be. So some details are blurry. I do think if I picked up book 2, I'd remember enough of book 1, but I really want to reread book 1 and just relive it because I enjoyed it so much. Ooh, okay, so I, for some reason, grabbed Fire instead of Graceling by Kristen Shore. I have read Graceling, Fire, and Bitter Blue. I read them around the time that Bitter Blue came out. I don't have my original copies anymore, so I have been picking up these new editions, which I do actually really like the covers. But Winterkeep came out, and I have not read Winterkeep. This is a great series. I might reread it. I don't know for sure. Y'all, this is one of my favorite books. I don't shut up about it. It's Winter Song. It's Winter Song by S.J. Jones. One of the best books I read last year. I really want to reread it. I'm not even kidding. I just finished it in October and I want to reread it. But book 2, Shadow Song, I'm about halfway through it. I've been listening to the audiobook and it just is missing that shining element that this book had. So I've just been really dawdling on it. I'll probably finish it in the first half of the year. I like to finish it before the end of March, I think, but book 1 was perfect. Book 2 is just a bit of a letdown because it's not as perfect as book 1. All right, Morganville Vampires. I read the first, I don't actually know how many. I read about half of the series. Love the series. I actually reread Glass Houses 3 years ago. It wasn't holding up perfectly, but it was still a lot of fun. Will I ever finish the series? I don't know. I really would like to, but I don't feel the urgency. So, I mean, maybe I'll complete it. I'm saying yes, I'm still in the middle of it, but I may never finish it. This one I'm a little ashamed of. The Montague siblings. I have only read Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. I've read it a million times. I reread this frequently. But I never read book 2, and book 3 came out. I have read the novella, but nothing else. I will read it, the series, but I don't know why I don't feel urgently about the other ones. Okay, so A Deadly Education. This is very similar to how I feel about that Marie Rothschild. What? I feel very similarly to this as I did the Marie Rudkotsky book. My God, I didn't think I'm saying it right anymore. I can say her name normally. I already put the book away. I don't even remember. What the heck, Sam? I was just saying that my short-term memory was good. Anyway, I feel similarly to this. The Midnight Lie. That's what I feel like similar to it. I loved this book when it came out. I read it like almost immediately. I loved it. Book 2 came out. I'm very excited for book 2, but kind of want to relive book 1 and relove it. But I don't know. I feel like I don't have time to reread it because I feel like this took me a while. I might just dive into book 2 when I get to it. Definitely want to before book 3 comes out. That's a goal. The Star-Touched Queen by Roshani Chokshiki is very much the victim of, it was so long ago that I read it that I do not remember anything about this. I actually remember one scene that I thought was incredibly clever, but that's the only thing I remember. It's near the end, but it's a blur otherwise. I remember feeling very lukewarm about this book. I'm hoping a reread would kindle something in it for me, but I'm not like convinced it will. I do remember when these were coming out because this is book 1 of a duology. I heard a lot of people say book 2 is better, so I just kind of want to reread it to read book 2, even though they're kind of like you can read them separately. They're about different characters. I want to. I really want to like this one. I do love the cover. This is just probably one of my favorite older YA covers. By older, I mean like the last generation of like really big series. Truthwitch. I love this series. I've only read the first 2 because I kept putting off Blood Witch, but now we have Blood Witch and we have Witch Shadow and we have the Sight Witch. Sight Witch? Yeah, Sight Witch, the little novella. These are good. I haven't read them yet. Saving them for a rainy day. The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington. This is book 1 in the Lucanius Trilogy. Yes, Lucanius Trilogy. They're thick. I do remember reading this quickly because it was a really fun, easy read. I don't remember anything except for one plot twist. I, for the longest time, have told myself I'm gonna finish this trilogy. I don't know. I really don't know. Next year, I've already posted my unhaul for this year, but next year I might end up just unhauling. Also, surprisingly light for how thick it is. They have like really light pages. That's fun fact. I do also love this cover. I just want to be honest about that. Oh my God. So much dust just flew out of this book. Oh my God. Okay. If that tells you how long it's been since I've read it. This is the is it called the Air Awakens series? Yeah, I think it is the Air Awakens series. I read this many moons ago, and as you can see, I'm reading a different Elise Kova right now. I was super impressed by this one. I've always had the intention to go back and reread the series, so hopefully this year. This was really good. I just remember loving it. And it's got like elemental powers, and I don't really go for those that often because a lot of times I'm like, oh, you're trying to be Avatar. This one, while it's definitely in some ways trying to be Avatar, I think it worked really well. I liked it in this. I don't know. Some books I find hokey. Not in that one. From Blood and Ash. Oh my God. Check out my review for my full thoughts. I do want to finish this trilogy. It's not a trilogy. I just want to get caught up on this series. There are 3 out right now. It's not a trilogy. I don't know why I said that. I want to catch up. It was fun. It was fluff. It wasn't really giving me much substance, but I'll finish it. I'll catch up with it. It's not over. Why do I think it's over? Oh, this is also really dusty, and I'm a bit ashamed that it's dusty, and I'm a bit ashamed that I haven't continued with this season, the series, the Bone Season series. I loved book 1. I was super impressed by book 2. I loved it for completely different reasons. I have books 3 and 4. I think it's the wait between books that makes this a series I haven't caught up on. I think it's going to be 7 books, so we're kind of past the halfway point, so I should probably just reread books 1 and 2 and then continue. It's not a priority, though. I'm sorry. I love her. I love Samantha Shannon. I feel like genuinely she's a very cool, nice person, but she's very slow and writes very big books, and totally fine, totally respect that, but it makes it hard for me to feel urgently about catching up, I'll be honest. The Witcher series. I've only read The Last Wish. I will continue the series eventually. It was fine. Another epic fantasy series, we have the Mistborn Trilogy. I've actually read the original trilogy. I loved it. And I've read the first in the second sequence, which is, I know it's not the Lost Metal, but I want to call it that for some. Anyway, I've read the 4th one. That one was not super impressive, so I just have put off reading books 5 and 6, but as soon as book 7 has a cover, I will prioritize 5 and 6 because I do love the Mistborn series. I really am a fan of Brandon Sanderson in general, and Mistborn is my favorite of his stuff. Okay, I might like Brandon Sanderson in general, but I'm about to show you 3 books where I've only read the first book in each of these series by him. Only explanation I can give is that he just writes a lot. It's overwhelming sometimes. Shiny objects, right? Skyward, I loved it. Haven't read book 2. The Way of Kings, it's okay. Not my favorite series by him. I will continue it. I will read all of Stormlight. I will read all of the Cosmere at some point. Okay, it's happening. And Steelheart, really enjoyed it. Loved it. Don't feel the rush to read it. Okay. Are these all? No, they're not all sci-fi. There's one sort of fantasy. But a lot of these last couple are sci-fi. All right. The Lunar Chronicles. I have actually read Cinder, Scarlet, Cress, and Fairest, but I never read Winter. Don't have a reason for it. I love these books. Cress was my favorite. I fucking love Thorn, okay? He is my love. I was reading these as they were coming out too. I just have the new covers because I love the new covers. I have my original covers as well. But I don't know. I don't know why I never read Winter. I don't have a reason. But I never read Winter. So I'm in the middle of that series still. The Expanse by James S.A. Corey. I love this book. This is probably, okay. It's not my favorite sci-fi book, but it is up there. I love Leviathan Wakes. It's phenomenal. If you've never read science fiction and you're thinking about getting into it, this is a great place to start. I know it's thick. I know. It's so easy and quick to read. I've read the first 3. Book 2 is not my favorite. Book 3 I really enjoyed. I don't know why I've been pushing off the series. I will continue it. I don't know if it'll be this year, but I will probably do something similar to the Farseer, the Realm of the Elderlings reading journey that I'm doing, where every other book or so is this. I did that with the Dresden Files as well, and I'm caught up on the Dresden Files. So they're not in this video. I love those books, but I had to read every other book was a Dresden Files book. This is the Murderbot series. Loved this book. Read it late last year, so I'm new to the series, but I fully plan on catching up this year because this was phenomenal. This was a 5-star read and one of my favorites of last year. These last 2 series, I love them both. They're both very near and dear to my heart. Very much victims of the Rainy Day book situation, but also very much series that I want to prioritize this year if I can. That's not a promise, that's not a guarantee, but there have been so many rainy days that I have just chosen not to read these, and it's, I think, time to catch up. The Red Rising series. I have read the first 4. I love them so much. They're so important. I read this one. I read this one and Golden Sun right about 6 months before a Morning Star came out, because I remembered the cover release for it, and I was like, oh my god, that sounds so exciting, and I don't have to wait a whole year, because my friend who turned me on to these had been waiting since like Golden Sun had come out, which is, oh my god, the ending of Golden Sun, one of my favorite cliffhangers ever. But I love this series. I have met Pierce Brown. I have several signed copies of Iron Gold. I adore them. I don't actually own a copy of Dark Age. I don't. I should do that. I think one of the issues is every single time I've seen a copy in person, it's been like falling apart. So that's not cool, but fantastic, phenomenal series. And finally, The Magicians by Lev Grossman. I have read this book 3 or 4 times. The first time I read it, I was like, this is awful. I hated it. I almost got rid of it. And then I reread it when I was a little older, and I was like, oh my god, this is the best thing I've ever read. And bought books 2 and 3 and never read them. So, and then I actually reread it because I was like, I'm going to read the trilogy now. So I reread this because I love it so much. And I still didn't read the rest of the series. So this year, my goal is to actually reread this again because I love this book. And then read books 2 and 3, okay? I really, 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 really want to do that this year. I'm jinxing myself by saying that, but it's a priority, even more so than Red Rising. Priority. I love this series. I love this book. I shouldn't say, I don't know about the rest of the series, but amazing. Absolutely amazing. That is the video, guys. Thank you for watching. If you liked this and you want to see more content like this, definitely subscribe. I would really appreciate it. No pressure though. And if you are already subscribed, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It means the absolute world to me. You guys are amazing. Thank you again. If you are somewhere cold, I hope you're staying warm. And if you're somewhere warm, I hope you're staying cold. Most of all, I hope you're reading a great book. I will see you guys next time. Bye!